ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a film from 2007. That movie is Diary of a Cannibal. Now, I would love to tell you guys that I have heard anything positive about this movie, but I haven't. In fact, not only have I not heard a single positive thing about this movie, almost every single criticism I have heard about this thing, almost every person who has talked about this movie, oftentimes lists it amongst the worst movies ever made. Now, I know that most people would just go into a movie knowing that and would just completely expect a movie to suck. I, on the other hand, am still going to hold out hope that there's going to be a glimmer of something good here. There probably won't be, but there is still that slight chance that there might be something here. Now, when it comes to the story, the only thing I know is that this movie is a fictionalized account of the story of a person named Armin Muse, who posted on a website looking for somebody who wanted to be mutilated and eaten, and actually got a fucking response. And was then sent to prison for, cannibalism. Apparently somebody actually thought that that story sounded really fascinating and wanted to make a fucking movie out of it, and thus we have Diary of a Cannibal. I have no idea if this movie is going to be any good. As I stated, almost every other critic on the planet has just slammed this thing as being absolute shit. But there is still that slight chance. I mean, shit, I honestly, guys, have liked movies that everybody else hates. There is still a slight chance for this thing, but the only way I'm going to find out if this thing has any positive to it at all is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Diary of a Cannibal. You know, guys, I was really expecting a lot of things in this movie. I was totally expecting terrible acting, god-awful fucking camera work. I'm getting all of that in spades. You wanna know what I wasn't expecting, though? The apocalyptically terrible pacing. This movie, guys, has been going on for almost 15 minutes. It's told maybe 2.5 minutes worth of fucking story. Everything else has literally been either flashbacks or it's been repeated footage. God, this thing, guys, is really starting to fucking hurt, and it just started. I swear to God, guys, if this fucking movie would cut back on recycled footage, this movie would probably be about a third the length it is right now. I've seen, across this first almost half hour, I've seen maybe 10 minutes of new footage. That's really fucking sad, guys. And so far, I really wish, guys, I could give you a proper story, but the movie hasn't even given us, that. It's just tons and tons of recycled footage, and a woman who's apparently in prison for murdering and eating her boyfriend. At least I'm going to assume that she eats him. Otherwise, honestly, the title of this film is a fucking lie. But I still haven't seen her eat, anything. So I can't even tell you if she actually goes through with eating him or if she just fucking kills him. My God. I really hope, guys, that the rest of this movie at least gets somewhat, better, but believe me, guys, my fucking doubts on that are growing with every passing scene. Holy shit. Alright, guys, so we just had a shot which was supposed to be of a headless body. Instead of just, trying to get, maybe a fucking dummy, you could probably have gotten a dummy real easy for it, and then strapping it onto the weird, cross, thing that she tied her boyfriend onto. They just got the actor to sit there still, tied up, and then they just digitally painted over his head in black. Which would probably have worked if the background itself was black instead of a light shade of fucking gray. It stood out, guys. It looked cheap, even guys by the already painfully low standards this fucking movie has already set. That is probably one of the worst special effects I have ever fucking seen. My God, can I please just stop fucking watching this now? Because this is just starting to suck, guys, in ways I didn't even think were possible. So apparently she has been grilling this guy's heart all fucking day. The heart has now magically turned into a giant piece of fucking ham, because apparently, of course, I guess, honestly, when you take a human heart and you put it, and you go and you put it on a grill, it just sort of turns into a big piece of fatty ham. I would never have fucking guessed. God damn it. I hate this, guys. I mean, I kind of had a feeling going in that this movie was going to be bad, but oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't think it was going to be this fucking bad. Oh, God. Can this thing just end, please? Thank Christ that's fucking over. Well, guys, that was Diary of a Cannibal. Jesus. And these credits are... Oh, my God. Guys, I don't think I've ever seen credits scroll this slowly in my entire life. The pacing on the credits is almost as bad as the pacing in the fucking movie itself. Jesus Christ. Okay. Might as well jump right into pacing. You want to know what the last 2 minutes of this fucking movie was? I'll tell you. Last 2 minutes of this movie were photos from our two stars as kids. That's it. Black and white photos. Or color photos, digitally, made, black and white for the sake of the film, of both of them as kids, and just watching as both of them grow up until we get to a shot of both of them on set together smiling. Well, kind of smiling. Both of them look absolutely miserable to fucking be there. But that, guys, is it for the last 2 minutes of this movie. It's just a bunch of like photos that they both brought from home. And you can tell that it's both of them because because every single shot of her has the same massive ears and the gaps in her teeth, and he has the same dead-eyed fucking stare in every goddamn photo, including ones when he was supposed to be a happy, vibrant, and young child. Oh, sweet fuck. Okay. So, that was the last 2 minutes of the movie. Guys, am not even going to talk about writing until I talk about the fucking pacing. You see, guys, this movie is an hour and 22 minutes long. Okay? Hour 22 even. Alright? Now, the last 4 minutes of that hour and 22 is credits that are scrolling at a glacier's pace. The 2 minutes before that is just a bunch of still photos that serve no purpose at all in the fucking movie. So what about the rest of the movie? What about that last hour and 15 or so? You maybe have 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I will even go as far as say a half an hour's worth of unique footage. I should say unique footage involving our characters and dialogue and shit that might actually matter. And then there's a whole bunch of B-roll and establishing shots. We need 4 fucking shots to show us that we are still in the prison when she's sitting in this hospital bed. Apparently she's sitting in the prison hospital, but you need like a very wide shot of the prison, and then you need 3 other shots as it gets closer and closer before we cut to a black screen then saying that we are in one of California's many fine prisons. Which I guess it makes sense to tell us that we are in a fucking prison, because every shot inside said prison, it really doesn't matter if it's a cell block or if it's this like hospital area. It all fucking looks like it's shot in the same warehouse that damn near everything else in this shitty movie was put into. But anyway, that is me flying way off topic. Well, that sort of covers the whole fucking second fucking unit and B roll shit. Is it took 4 shots of the prison for them to establish that we are in a prison, and they do this a lot, where you will see like shots of our couple driving into the desert. It's maybe made up of about 7, maybe 8 shots of them driving down the fucking highway, and then those shots are reused again and again and again. So it looks as if they're constantly coming out of tunnels, and they're always a quarter mile away from Pasadena, because you see that sign pass at least 3 goddamn times. all because they were too fucking lazy to actually film an entire drive from California all the way out to whatever desert they were supposed to go into. From, I guess, a quarter mile away from Pasadena all the way to this fuck-off desert. They were too lazy to just sit there and maybe film all of the footage necessary for that, and then not have to recycle footage. And what makes a lot of this worse is that a whole lot of these shots, including, guys, the stuff that gets used once, is shown in slow motion in order to help pad this fucking movie out even more and destroy its pacing even further. Oh my fucking god. Alright, so now, guys, that I've talked about the pacing, why don't we try to talk about the writing? Oh boy. I am almost convinced that this film was originally conceived to be a half-hour film, because the script really only fucking allows for maybe about a half an hour's worth of actual story, which is why they have to throw in almost a fucking hour's worth of rehashed footage and slow motion shit and second unit crap and stuff that just does not help your film at all because it's destroying your pacing. Our plot. Okay, so we have our main character, Noelle, is sitting in a prison hospital because she's been savagely beaten by some of the fucking inmates. You find out later, spoiler, that these inmates were paid off by the mother of Adam, the man who she was in love with, and butchered and ate his flesh because he wanted her to. By the way, guys, the only reason why I even know his fucking name is because I've got the credits paused and I can see his name. That's the only fucking reason why. Because I do not think his name is ever mentioned in this entire goddamn film. Noelle's is, but I'll get to that in just a sec. Jesus Christ. So, Adam's mom paid off inmates to savagely beat her, and as she's dying on a hospital bed, these two cops show up and are asking her all of these questions about, exactly why she did what she did. I don't understand why they're asking these questions, especially since she has already been convicted and she's serving her fucking sentence. So why the hell the cops are asking her about exactly why she killed her boyfriend and why they drove out to the desert and on what day they drove out to the desert and all this happy horseshit? None of that makes any sense. It would make more sense if these cops were asking exactly who beat you and why did they beat you, because that's why she's in the fucking hospital. And they never bother to ask that. So by the end of the movie, and I'm going to spoil this, when she dies on the hospital bed immediately after telling her fucking life story to these two cops, the cops never fucking find out exactly why the hell she is in the hospital bed. And then the cops walk off and they're basically just talking about how mentally fucked up she is, which I don't fucking understand why the hell those cops were there, outside of perhaps maybe to give this film a flimsy bullshit excuse to give us nothing but flashbacks, even though the film would probably have benefited more if it was just told in proper fucking chronological order instead of in all flashback. It really, guys, would have benefited the film better, and we wouldn't have had this third world ghetto hospital that apparently is in a California prison somewhere. We wouldn't have had any of that because there wouldn't have been a need for any of that until we get to the end when she dies because of the savage beating she gets. So anyway, and the plot is that this couple, Noelle and Adam, drive out to the desert because Adam wants her to kill him and feast on his flesh as like the ultimate sign of love. I don't totally understand that. I'm not even going to pretend that it makes the slightest bit of fucking sense, because really nothing in this movie makes any goddamn sense. So she kills him. She then takes his heart and I guess this big like chunk of meat that was supposed to be, according to the cops, his liver, his kidneys. She throws them both on a fucking grill. And then she drives off on a fucking Vespa and goes on a little bit of a road on a road trip. She comes back long enough. It literally feels as if it's been like 3 hours since she was there. But in all honesty, in the film, it's only been about 4 minutes. She goes back to the warehouse long enough to flip everything and then go on another fucking road trip as she's having memories of letters that her father wrote her before he died when she was 6. Oh my god. And then she comes back, and then the heart has turned into a big blob of fatty ham, and the, like, kidney, the liver, all that other shit, has basically just turned into a giant, like, very, very, very over fucking cooked, steak. And believe me, guys, when I say, I honestly am a kind of guy who likes his steak well fucking done, and this shit was over fucking cooked. That's just, you can clearly tell that just watching the fucking movie. And then she fucking feasts on him, and then something happens, and then she goes to prison and is beaten. That is the entire plot to this movie. Now, again, you could probably have told this story and done it in a competent fashion within 30 minutes, but no. The German hack who made this fucking thing insisted that it had to be almost an hour and a half the fuck long, so he had to pad it out painfully, and it ruins any chance this movie has of being good. Now, why don't we talk about the acting? Because I have to talk about a few things. First of all, I have talked in the past about certain performances that are fucking phoned in. This movie literally has phoned in performances. What I mean is that during the opening montage where Adam and Noelle are driving out to this warehouse in the fucking desert, you hear her talk about her childhood and about how she became a fucking artist, and the only thing that she's never been able to shake off is the fact that her dad died when she was 6. This whole thing sounds as if it came off of somebody's answering machine. So she literally phoned that motherfucking performance in. The moments when she's having memories of these letters that her father wrote her, her father also phoned it in too. And you can tell, it fucking sounds as if he's reading it off he's reading it from a fucking phone. He's sitting there and he's talking over a phone and giving it out. It sounds terrible. And the thing that makes this worse, and mind you, this actually is a bit more like a sound mix issue than it is acting. But there are shots where Adam and Noelle are supposed to be on the phone and talking to each other. At no time do they ever try to make the other side sound as if they are coming from the phone. Instead, it's very clearly evident that the both of them are in the exact same fucking room. And it just sort of ruins that scene because they didn't bother to do any kind of sound editing to make it actually sound like the other party was on the fucking phone. This is something that would have taken 5 goddamn seconds in any competent editing bay to fix. But no. The lazy piece of shit who made this didn't fucking bother. Now, again, that's me flying way off topic, but that's because this movie's so, teeming with problems, guys, that it's going to be hard for me to stay on topic. So not only did we have performances that were literally phoned in, but what about the acting? Well, let's talk about Adam for just a sec. Let's fucking talk about our murder, victim here, who in every shot, he has this dead-eyed fucking stare as if he does not want to be there. It is not, before anyone tries to defend it, it is not the look of a man who wants to die. It is the look of a man who is so bored with being there and just wants his fucking check. And he puts no effort into any lines given to him. Nobody here actually does. There is not a single given line in this film which is actually given out with any kind of attempt for emotion. Everything here is done terribly. No one here fucking tried. I, honest to God, think that nobody in this film even knows how to fucking act. That is how bad the acting was here. But you see, though, I'm gonna say this, and I say this a lot in these sorts of movies. When you're handed a script which is this fucking bad, you cannot expect miracles. There was never gonna be hope for this thing being any good with a script that was this bad. But you know what? The actors could have still at least tried. They could have at least put some level of fucking effort in, and they didn't. Now, I've already talked about the sound mix. Mind you guys, and the sound mix across this whole film is fucking terrible. Special effects. Let's talk about the special effects. Well, I have already touched on the fact that they had this big chunk. They had this big chunk of meat, which kind of sort of looked, which kind of looked almost like a cross between a heart and a fucking tennis ball. And when they put it on the grill, and when it's cooked, it then just turns into a big blob of ham. And when she's actually cutting into it, and she puts a slice of this cooked heart on her plate, you can tell that it's just ham, and it doesn't have any of the, like valves, it doesn't have any of the ventricles, it has none of the shit that would be in a cooked heart. It has nothing that would be in any kind of heart. Why? Because they didn't bother to even try to carve out a chunk of ham to make it look like a fucking heart. They're like, no, 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 because nobody here is going to care. Worst part about that, fucking criminal part about that, is that they tried to hide that by making the shot of her slicing off and then taking that chunk of heart. They made it as blurry and as unfocused as possible in order to try to hide it. And that is nothing short of fucking disgusting. Alright? I will touch on camera work in a minute. I want to stick to special effects here. So we have blood which in certain shots is watery, and in other shots it kind of sort of gives off this feel of like syrup. So we have no form of consistency in terms of blood. The only time we ever see a knife actually puncture human skin, which is when she's stabbing into her boyfriend, it is this extreme close up, and you can tell that the skin is fucking rubber. It looks nothing like human fucking skin. And of course the blood that's pouring out of it is this oddball shade of almost fucking purple, because apparently the filmmaker didn't know how to make blood look fucking red. Oh my god. And I talked about it earlier. There is a shot of Adam's body after he's had his head cut off. And instead of just getting, like a wax dummy or trying to digitally hide the head in like a clever fashion, they just digitally painted over the head black, which, considering the fact that the background looked a lot like this, and this right here, guys, is a dark blue sheet, you can't just cover this in black and expect it to look good. It looked fucking terrible. And mind you, that actually, guys, is one of the better fucking special effects in this fucking movie. Oh my god. Well, I should say, there is one prop which at least looks decent, and I'm almost convinced that 3/4 of the fucking budget went into this one prop. Because when she cuts off Adam's head, she puts it on the fucking table, and it just sits there. And it has the same dead-eyed, worthless look of the actor who played Adam. And you can still tell that it is kind of sort of a rubber head. But at least it had a whole lot of detail, and the hair on it actually looked fucking natural. That thing there is probably where most of the fucking budget went, because they sure as shit did not put any budget into anything else in this fucking movie. So at least in terms of severed heads, the severed head looks good. It's a pity that every other special effect looks like shit. Now let's talk about camera work, shall we? Let's touch on camera work. There isn't a single shot here that isn't fucking shaky, because everything is shot with handheld, and the cameraman apparently had way too much coffee as he was fucking filming. This includes the establishing shots of the fucking prison. All 4 shots of it are all shaky and jittery because they couldn't fucking be asked to put the camera on a goddamn tripod and just shoot this motherfucking prison. There isn't a single shot here, guys, which was done with a fucking tripod. Everything here was done handheld, and they didn't bother to try to fucking correct the shaky cam in fucking editing. They didn't bother. They didn't try. They didn't fucking care. And besides the fact that every single shot here is jittery and shaky and cheap as shit, besides the fact that the camera has worse picture quality than mine does, and this movie was made in 2007, there is no fucking excuse for the camera to be that shit. But they also will try to hide some of the questionable special effects, and I already mentioned this, by basically unfocusing the camera and running it as blurry as possible, so that way you can't see anything. And those shots will go on for like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. It guys is not like a 2-second shot where you can kind of understand it being fucking blurry. Oh my god, editing. I'm going to touch on editing. Guys, I'm probably going to be here a while, so just please, guys, do not fucking mind me if this video winds up a little bit long. I normally don't have to talk about editing. I am not going... no, I could go on more about the fucking pacing. I could go on more about all this other shit. I'm going to tell you, during some of the flashbacks, they have the footage in black and white, and they have added a film grain over it, except the film grain looks worse than the film grain which used to come in Windows Movie Maker. Which, mind you, the film grain in fucking Movie Maker was so bad that, if memory serves, they have stopped putting it into Movie Maker. So yeah, we have that shit going on too. They have film filters on here that are worse than the shit they offer in a free program like Windows Movie Maker. Process that shit for just a sec. And of course when it doesn't look, and of course when they aren't trying to cheapen it with this shit, they are taking shots and they are layering shot after shot on fucking top of each other. So when we have our couple making out, it's like 5, 6, 7 different fucking angles, and they're all being run at the same time, and they slowly fade from one to the next. And you'll sometimes have like 4 of these goddamn shots layered, and it looks like shit. Or worse is when you've got like shots of her as she's like fumbling around with this fucking knife. And you get it from like 3 different angles, and you can tell that they actually bothered to sync up all 3 shots that way, so that way when she fumbles on that fucking knife, it is the same fumble in all 3 shots as all 3 of them are layered on top of each other. Yeah, and it looks like shit. One shot, though, that just blew my goddamn mind is when she had this tray of meat. She had this tray with the heart and the organs, and the shot is just there, and then we layer on this ultra pixelated close up, which then zooms out to the exact same fucking shot we started with. That was layered on top. My God, this whole movie looks cheap. Sound mix. Well, I've already talked about sound mix. What about the fucking music? There's maybe 2 pieces of music in this entire fucking movie, and they're both terrible. Guys, there is nothing in this movie. Diary of a Cannibal is one of the cheapest pieces of shit I think I've ever seen. There was no effort put into anything. They are constantly rehashing footage. There is maybe, and I'm being generous when I say that there's maybe a half an hour's worth of fucking story in this hour and 22-minute shit piece. There is nothing in this movie. And the person who made it, he's a German filmmaker. His name is, I'm going to try to pronounce this, Uli fucking Lommel. Uli Lommel, fuck you. Fuck off and die, you worthless hack piece of shit. I can't stand you. And I really, really hope that however you die, whenever you die, it is slow and painful. I want it to be as slow and painful as the shitty fucking movie you have dumped on this world. You are a disgusting human being and you make me sick. No, guys, I cannot fucking recommend this movie. This movie sucks too fucking badly to even exist. How this thing got made, I will never fucking know. Now, I would love, guys, to show you the cover again, but you just saw I just whipped it to the other side of the fucking room. Oops. So, Diary of a Cannibal came off of the Amazon wishlist. The person who sent it in was Brandon. Yeah, I actually had to look it up. I actually have it written down. You can find Brandon's YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/spiffyfishface. Brandon, I thank you. I had heard nothing but terrible things about this movie. I wanted to see if it was honestly as bad as everybody says. And it totally is. This thing has got to be one of the worst movies ever made. It has hideous pacing. It has almost non-existent acting. The camera work is shit. Our special effects are terrible. There is not a single positive to be found in this movie. It is 1 hour and 22 minutes of sheer pointless, hellish torture, but I wouldn't have known any of that, dude, if you hadn't have sent it in, and for that, I thank you, you fucking rock. Anyway, guys, once more, that is youtube.com/user/spiffyfishface. Jesus Christ. Okay. Wow, that movie was a fucking chore to get through. I'm gonna go find something better with cannibals. I know. I'm gonna go watch The Silence of the fucking Lambs. At least I know that movie is good. Oh my God. And let us never speak of this terrible movie ever the fuck again. Anyway, guys, with that we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.